This is the Hasselblad X1D II 50C, a 50 megapixel medium format camera released back in June 2019. And I've just bought it, and in this episode I'm going to share with you why I bought it, how I got to Hasselblad instead of Fuji, my first shooting experience, image quality, lenses. So let's not waste any time and let's get straight down to it. So why medium format? I think that's one of the key questions I had to ask myself before actually going to explore medium format. And what I've noticed is a change or a shift in my photography. I still do my everyday kind of travel, street, whatever you want to call it, photography. But I've also decided deep appreciation for landscapes, cityscapes, still lives, and even a bit of portraiture. So I was thinking, if you want to get the best out of it, even full frame cameras, they're great, don't get me wrong. But for printing as well, yeah, why not try a medium format camera? So that was basically the main reason for me to start considering buying a medium format camera. Now, the second question here is with medium format cameras. Are we going to go 50 megapixels or 100 megapixels? And that's kind of a critical question. If you follow the channel, you know that I'm not a big fan of huge sensors. Thank God I also had a point of reference here. About a year and a half ago, I think now, I rented a Fujifilm GFX 100S, I think it was, with a 60 or 63 millimeter lens. And in terms of image quality, that combo was great. In terms of file sizes, 100 megapixel is normally about 200 megabytes in information, in file size. And I found it a little bit too rich, and also 100 megapixels is, you can crop in, all of you are 100% right. But I thought I just don't need it for what I do. So 50 megapixels it is. And if you're owning a medium format camera right now and you're watching this, let me know what your thoughts on this are, right? With 50 megapixels, I basically had two systems in mind. Fuji GFX system with the 50R or the 50S Mark II. I looked at specifically the 50S Mark II, which is a very modern camera. In many ways comes with all the bells and whistles which you can expect from Fuji, and also a lot of video capabilities. And honestly, I have no need for video capabilities for what I want to use a medium format camera for. So those two were quickly a bit on my list, like, should I have that? IBIS, should you or should you not? These kind of discussions I was having. But ultimately, my experience with the GFX 100, I think it was S, taught me one thing. Fuji cameras are slightly big and bulky. Their lenses can be big and bulky and heavy. And weight is a big decision factor for me, because those 200 to 300 grams might not sound like a lot, but if you're walking an entire day with it, it becomes a lot. I just want to have a very clean, simple way of photography where I don't break my back over longer periods of time. So I looked at this, but one other thing I also took into account is Fuji has its mechanical and electronic shutters built into camera, has a lot of GFX glass. It's not always widely available, but still it's pretty much available, and you can easily mount third-party lenses. When it comes to Hasselblad, I noticed cameras come with electronic shutters. Mechanical leaf shutter is built in to the lenses, which is a slightly different approach, and it also means that there is no shutter count on Hasselblad cameras, but on the lenses there are the shutter counts, which is quite a fascinating concept. So I looked at that like, IBIS, no IBIS. Okay, Hasselblad, why Hasselblad? Well, 16-bit color depth, 14 stops of dynamic range, Hasselblad natural colors. All great, but Fuji is pretty much the same. So still, Hasselblad I wasn't 100% decided on. And then I started looking at the weight, and I thought, that GFX 100S has taught me a lesson. So I'll go into Hasselblad, still 50 megapixels. So what did I look at? I, of course, started first looking at the 907, is the X or C with a 50 megapixel sensor. And I love that camera in terms of design. I love it. But when I looked at it all, I thought it's fantastic, it's great. But at a certain stage, because you're holding that camera like this, it probably needs a grip, and it probably needs an additional viewfinder. And it is a modular system. And yes, it's future-proof, but I just started raking up the cost. I'm like, it's not really practical. It would be more of a vanity camera to look around, to walk around and look cool. And that's exactly what I don't want to do. I want to use it as a tool. So let me know in the comments below if you own a 907, what your thoughts are. So anyways, so I started looking at the X1 series, and I quickly found out, watching all these tutorials on YouTube, that those cameras might not be the best. So I looked at the X1D II, which came with a lot of things that I really liked: 50 megapixels, color science, sleek design, viewfinder, even a GPS unit built in, decent battery life, but I'll get to that later on in the experiences. I thought, okay, I'll buy this. And that was 2 months ago. And then I started looking for a combo, because I also quickly realized lenses from Hasselblad are A, can be quite expensive, B, availability, used market. I only go via reputable dealers because of warranties and guarantees and all this kind of stuff. So you see that there is an availability issue. And I was looking, and then at camerastore.com, not sponsored by the way, I found the X1D Mark II with the 45 megapixel f4 lens and a combo it was, so the kit lens. Now let's have a look at the camera here itself. Sensor, as you can see, is huge, but also if you see the entire front of the camera, what I like here is that Hasselblad. The logo here is not white, but dark gray black, small thing. The shutter button is 100% orange. I like it as well. You've got a scroll wheel on the front and on the back. And what you notice here immediately is that you see that the grip is angled. It's more on a diagonal instead of the conventional straight grip, and it really makes a difference. On the back here, you see one scroll wheel, 2 autofocus lock buttons, autofocus white balance buttons. The power on button here is fun. You see that it takes a bit of time to power it on, but it's a great little feature here. Look at that display, it's fantastic. You also see there's nothing here in terms of buttons. I saw in the just released X1D Mark II that they've got a little joystick here, another button. Now, if you look at the side here, there's 2 doors. Look at that, perfectly done. This is really high quality finishing, by the way. 2 card slots here, audio jack, headphone jack, and more importantly, a little port here where you can either transfer photos or charge your little camera, which I personally like. Below we have the battery here, which is not a door. You just click it open, clicks like this, and then you push it. So that is really nice. Reminds me of the Leicas I used to have. Now, if you look above here, you have a scroll wheel. So you have your little PASM dial here. And if we push it in, it comes up, as you can see. Now, and here's the thing. When you want to change this, look at that display here. Absolutely fantastic. Lovely detail, very simple. So I normally shoot here on manual. Just lock it in by pushing it down. And then here you see the menus, yeah? Just to go into the menus here, everything is touch. So you can pretty much determine whatever you want to. I normally use the back button. You see here all the aspect ratios, quite a few. And more importantly, and this is one thing, if you want to, for instance, change something, you just push it on here and you go, pats, clang. You can just change everything here. Your white balance, you can put it the way you want to. In Kelvins, you can even adjust the tint here so it's in 9, so greener or more magenta. Everything here is touch, which is absolutely fantastic. Here you simply see the pictures. You can see the zebras here if you want to. Your settings, everything is in here, which I absolutely adore. Finder is very nice. Built-in GPS, the original Hasselblad strap I got, so all in all, a fantastic camera, specifically the ergonomics. It really is a beast of a camera. Let's talk about the shooting experience here and also my first impressions, because I don't have this camera that long, maybe 2 weeks, but I just like to share my first impressions here. First of all, there's one thing that you really need to keep into mind, and let me know in the comments below what your experiences are with Hasselblad or Fuji medium cameras. This is not a quick street snapper. This is not something I would ever use for full-time street photography. You can, obviously, but no. The entire experience is more focused on light, composition, conscious shooting. The startup time of this baby here is a good 4 to 5 seconds. So for most people, this isn't the the camera of your dreams. But for me, this is perfect. And my first impression of this was, first of all, the autofocus. Let's just be very honest about it. The autofocus on this camera, released in 2019, is still contrast based, which basically means it feels to me like I'm shooting with my Lumix GX85 or with an old Fuji camera, right? It's all single, continuous, I wouldn't use it. But that said, it isn't as bad as everybody says here online. And it also depends on what you're doing. What I'm doing, cityscapes, quiet scenes, where there's light, carefully composing, fine. If you want to do sports photography or something, I would not use this so fasting. So that's the first thing that I noticed, the startup time, autofocus. A third thing I noticed, and that really took me by surprise, is the fact that when it comes to exposing correctly, if I go in aperture, it's all over the place, aperture mode. If I go into manual mode, it took me some time to realize how the camera treats exposure, but once I got it, it really is a fantastic machine. There's also one thing I hear a lot of people complain about this camera is the battery life. The good thing about this battery is that it's not as bad as people state. If I go out with this camera, I maybe take 50 to 100 pictures, right? So I'm not snapping. That lasts me the entire day. I also switch my camera off most of the time because I'm walking around looking at nice little compositions I can do where I have the time for, because I'm not focused on people. I'm far more focused on cityscapes, still lifes, that kind of thing. Even if your battery is slightly drained, you can still charge it with your USB. That's a good thing. On the other hand, I think if you use this intensively, you need 2 batteries at least, right? Because it does drain a bit, but it also depends on how you use it. If you use your Wi-Fi, for instance, yeah, it will drain faster. That's what I've noticed, at least. If you don't use your Wi-Fi and you just use it without connectivity, it works flawlessly. Now, the biggest thing that I noticed is when I use my Focus app. This is an app which also bizarrely is only available on iPhone, not Android. So if you're an Android user and you buy this camera, you can't use it. I mean, it's completely ridiculous, but it's the way it is. The Focus app, when I first got my first files, and you see a few flying back here, I was really impressed with A, the color rendering, and B, the level of detail. And the way the Focus apps works, it's a very clean editing app. It is absolutely wonderful. It's easy to use. It's got a lot of shadow and highlights recovery, so your pictures look, at least I thought mine looked really good. Tell me in the comments below. And it actually makes it impressive what this Focus app does, because the files I'm actually sending, because I only shoot RAW, are about 100 megabytes, not pixels, megabytes. And it goes relatively fast. So if I have to rank this app compared to all the other cameras I have, well, one is Lumix Lab. I think that's hard to beat. But then there's Hasselblad's Focus app, followed closely by Leica Photos. I think those are the 3 best. I think that the Sony ones and stuff, Ricoh's, they haven't really paid any kind of attention to this, really. But I really think that Hasselblad has done well with the Focus app. Not so much with the Focus desktop, which I downloaded it, and however simple and easy it is to transfer the files to your phone and then edit them and export them, I don't have the same feeling with the desktop. So I hope with the release now of a couple of days ago of the X1D Mark II, Hasselblad will show this a bit of love, right? That is really something that I'm really hoping for. Now, to conclude, do I regret buying this? We'll see it in a year's time. Do I think this is a great camera? Yes. Do I feel that it's for everybody? No. This is aimed at a niche audience. Well, that's it for today then. Thank you very mucho.